Why strength matters.
In the previous module, we explained why the success of a particular exercise routine needs to be defined by the amount of progress made divided by the amount of time invested. Now we need to define progress, and I'm going to try to convince you why you should adopt changes in strength as your metric for measuring the effectiveness of your workout routine. You might be thinking to yourself, I'm a 60-year-old woman. Why on earth should I give a hoot how much I can squat or how much I can bench? Here's why. So, whatever metric we decide to use to track our progress needs to be easy to measure. We might be aware that having more muscle mass is correlated with better health and longevity outcomes. So we might think that we should measure change in muscle mass as our definition of progress. The problem with tracking changes in muscle mass is that the cheap and accessible methods of measuring body composition are notoriously unreliable. And the reliable methods of measuring body composition are prohibitively expensive and inaccessible. And even if we did have a cheap, accessible, and reliable method of measuring body composition, it would still be an additional thing that we'd have to find time for in addition to following the exercise routine. Another common but problematic metric that many people adopt to gauge their progress in the gym is weight loss measured by the scale or fat loss measured by the mirror or progress photos. The problem with defining progress as weight loss or fat loss is that it can be an unreliable measurement. Not all weight loss is fat loss, and measuring fat loss in the mirror can be somewhat subjective and can be affected by factors like lighting, bloating, water retention, etc. Focusing on fat loss has an additional hazard in that when fat loss becomes our way of defining success or failure, we are more likely to cut corners in order to avoid the psychological shame of feeling like our efforts haven't been successful. Anybody can lose fat in the short term by eating below their body's energy requirements. This will cause the body to break down its own tissue to supply energy for vital functions. It should go without saying that this is neither a healthy or sustainable solution and will most likely cause decreases in strength, muscle mass, and metabolic rate, all of which are associated with worse overall health outcomes, and will make it highly likely that any weight the person may have lost will be regained. This is why temporary fat loss or a decrease in body weight don't correlate very well with goals like long-term health, vitality, and independence as we age. Tracking changes in strength on key exercises, however, has several advantages. For starters, an increase in strength on an exercise like a squat or deadlift or even a bench press is going to serve as a good proxy for key longevity metrics like muscle mass and bone density. In other words, if you go from not being able to squat your own body weight to being able to squat 75 pounds, for example, it is safe to assume there have been positive changes in terms of muscle mass, bone density, and the ability to safely perform daily household tasks and participate in activities that you enjoy. And from this, we can deduce that our odds for long-term health and independence have been favorably influenced. On the other hand, if you lose 50 pounds by crash dieting, but your strength and performance have gone down, it could very well be that health and longevity have been negatively influenced despite you being pleased with having lost body fat. So your strength numbers on key exercises like the squat, deadlift, bench press, and pull down give us a more accurate idea of your overall health and how long you'll be able to be active and independent than just about anything else you could measure when it comes to gauging the effectiveness of a resistance training program.